Hey everyone, welcome to Kingdom Builder TV. Thank you so much for joining us today. There's a new action film called Valiant One. It comes out to theaters this weekend, and the new movie stars Chase Stokes and Lana Condor. And I'm pleased to be joined by director Steve Barnett and producer Alan Powell. Guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Doing great.
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad to have you guys on here. And this new film is very intriguing. And for people who haven't got a chance to check out the trailer for it yet, let's start out by telling folks about this film and what to expect from it.
It was inspired by a true incident that happened to a Navy SEAL, a high school buddy actually of mine who became a Navy SEAL. And we got together for coffee one day, and I asked all the questions because I'm a huge supporter of our men and women in uniform. I just think those stories are always the best stories because they start with a sacrifice. You can't go wrong when you start with a sacrifice. So all of them do that. So this idea came out of an incident that happened to him along the South Korean border. He was escorting a Raytheon tech to Patriot missile installations along the border, and they hit weather, and they got pushed all the way into the DMZ. And he was like, "This is it. This is the moment where I die." And they didn't, obviously. They were pulled out, but the helicopter pilot was able to get him back to the base. But I said, what would happen if you guys did crash in the DMZ or in North Korea? And he's like, well, we're Navy SEALs. We'd find our way out. And I was like, okay, of course. You guys are superheroes. What happens if you guys don't make it, but you leave just the support tech soldiers who've never really seen combat and the Raytheon tech to find their way out? And he's like, they'd have a problem. And I was like, well, there's the movie. The movie is an underdog story about soldiers who we all expect to be, combat ready, and not all of them are. And most of them are not, actually. So it was interesting for me, at least as a filmmaker and a storyteller, to take a look at that side of our military and have, characters that are not really prepared for this incident to figure out how to work together and get it done.
Yeah, and you know what? When I was watching this film, a movie popped in my mind as I was watching this because this other film took place in the same area. It was fictionalized; it wasn't real. But I think it was 1988, the movie The Rescue, and where the kids have to save their dads who have been captured by the North Koreans and bring them back home safely. I just thought about that when I was watching this, and I thought
that is
really
awesome.
Cool.
I've never heard of that movie, but I got to see it now. That sounds cool.
Yeah, cool Kevin Dillon stars in that, and it was a great film. I watched a lot back in the 80s when I was a kid. But Steve, you've produced many films over the years, including films with some of my favorite actors: Morgan Freeman, Gerard Butler, John Cena, and so many others. But this one marks for you, in a way, a first for you. This is your directorial debut. What was it like directing a film for the first time?
I've been fortunate enough in my career to work my way through every sort of aspect of a film. So I started out doing script development as a development executive, working with writers and filmmakers, getting the script in shape to shoot. And then the next stage of that was being a creative producer on set, making sure what we did on the page actually makes it on screen in a way that everybody expects. So I was fortunate enough to transition into becoming a filmmaker, to the director chair, having all of that experience behind me. So I would say the transition was pretty seamless in prep and in production, because so much of that, I had experienced so much of that in the trenches, both easy productions and difficult productions. So I had a lot of experience sitting next to the director while the director's directing, talking and collaborating along the way. I think where the two areas, there's actually three areas. I'll be quick. The three areas that caught me by surprise is taking my producer hat and putting my director hat on in terms of time management, things like that. Producers are always about time. You got to make your day. You got to get it all done within the amount of time that you have. And I think for the first few days, I still had that hat on. In fact, we finished early a couple of those first few days, which as a filmmaker, as a director, I should be yelling at myself for shutting it down early and just keep shooting until the last second. So that was one thing. The second thing was interacting with actors. I think we as producers have always let the director, and this is the way it should be on film, let the director be the person talking to the actors. We'll have notes and we'll pull the director aside and say, hey, maybe we try it like this, or can you convey this message to the talent, and let that be the voice that they hear. So it was the first time I'd really engaged with actors about performance one-on-one. That was a different experience, but a very rewarding one. And then the last thing was post-production. I've obviously worked on films through post, but on all of the films that I've worked on, I don't get the movie or work on the movie, contribute creatively to the movie until 10 weeks of editing by the director. So I've never seen an assembly. I've never seen anything in its rawest form. So that was a real eye opener for me as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty cool jump there. And, Alan, you produced this movie. And, first off, Alan, I remember hearing you for the first time back in 2011 with the group Anthem Lights. And of course, still love the song Can't Shut Up. Still one of my favorite songs, even after.
Sing it, Alan. Alan, sing it for us.
Yes.
I don't even know if I could.
You hit that for us?
I don't even know if I can remember it. Maybe you can. It's been a long time.
Well, Alan, for the last decade, you've been more focused on TV and film, having been in a few films that I've, really enjoyed, Where Hope Grows, in the song, as well as a TV series, Quantico. Love that series. And I'm curious, coming from a music background, what got you interested in film?
Film, even as a little kid, film has always been the artistic medium that moved me the most, the one that impacted me, most deeply, if you will. So music, I really enjoyed doing music, and it was a great time, and I love those guys in Anthem Lights, and I'm happy for them and proud of them. They keep doing their thing. I think maybe besides their moms and their wives, I'm their biggest fan. So it was a great time, but film has always been my passion. So as some of those opportunities that you were just mentioning, the song Where Hope Grows, those sort of things started to happen, and I was able to take up more of my time being in film and being around film. It just made sense for me to transition out of the music space and into film. And then fortunately, I started as an actor, but the moment being on set for the first time, fell in love with every aspect of filmmaking, and was over there bothering the DP, like, how are you doing that? What is that lens? Blah, blah, blah. And talking to the costume department, just trying to learn everybody's job because I enjoyed it so much. So it pretty naturally lent itself to the producing role, where you get to be involved in some capacity in every aspect of filmmaking and storytelling. And obviously this is a very quick version of the story, but through that process, Steve and I were able to partner together to make A Week Away. And that's also how we partnered with our third partner, Vicky Patel. And we enjoyed that process so much of making that movie, and it went well, that we're like, man, let's lock arms and do this many, many times for many, many years. And we're 5 years in now. And Steve brought this idea. The moment we started the company, this is one of the first things, if not quite frankly, the first thing, and Steve can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first things that he brought to the table said, I've had this project for a long time. I'm passionate about it. And Vicky and I both immediately were like, man, that is a really, really interesting story. And he already had a draft of the script that we responded to. And so you start the process of putting the wheels on the bus, and, you go through filmmakers and all this sort of stuff. And then at one point, Steve stepped back and bravely and appropriately came to Vicky and I said, hey guys, what do you think about me sitting in the director chair for this one? And we were both like, of course, absolutely. And he did such a great job. So yeah. It's been quite the journey to get to this place of being able to, produce this film, which is not at all music and not at all like some of the early movies we made, but at the end of the day is storytelling, and is bringing a story to light that has moved me since the first time Steve told me about it. Since the first time I read the first draft of the script that he sent us. And even now, as I watch this, as I watch the final cut that people have the opportunity to see on Friday, it still impacts me. And so it's, I'm really excited as you kind of gracefully kind of asked me to look back on this, career, if you will, that it's very cool how I've had the privilege of getting to this place.
Yeah, man, your transition from music to film was pretty cool, man. Because I remember, I'd heard you, singing for a long time. Then all of a sudden the song came out. I'm like, whoa, it's the same dude that sings in Anthem Light. This is awesome. I thought that was pretty cool. And, speaking of singing, you guys, Monarch Media did a movie about 4 years ago now. I can't believe it's been 4 years since the movie came out. But another film that, my family loves, called A Week Away, and this was a film that was on Netflix and starred Kevin Quinn. And my 18-year-old daughter, I think she was 14, 13 or 14 at the time, and she absolutely loved Kevin Quinn. Of course, on Bunked and a lot of the like Disney type shows he played on. But I'm hearing that this film, A Week Away, is being adapted into a TV series. Is this something you guys can tell us anything about? Kind of give us a preview on what we can expect from this?
Yeah, we're doing that with Angel Studios, the guys that brought you The Chosen and Sound of Freedom and a lot of other exciting titles. Good partners. We're excited about it, and we're gonna go back to the same camp, both practically here in Nashville, but also in the story. One of the really cool things, at least in our opinion, about A Week Away and that sort of setting is that it's a magical place. I mean, I grew up going to church camp. I know a lot of people did, and the things that happen there, and the life impact, and the forever change that can happen at that, there in those 7 days is something that we're excited to explore again for a new set of kids. There'll be some returning characters that you may remember, but for the most part, we're going to focus on a new set of kids with new backgrounds, new problems, new excitement, certainly new music. And we get to stretch out the story, which we're also excited about, making it a TV series versus a film. One of the things you get to do is explore a little bit more characters and certainly more stuff, but you get to go a little bit deeper. So we start shooting that in a few weeks, and you can't hold me to this, but we're very much expecting that the world will be able to see it late summer. That's the idea.
That's cool. My wife's gonna be really excited, man. A Week Away is one of her favorite movies, and just the nostalgia, music.
Tell her we said thank you. That means a lot. Yes, it was 4 years ago. I can't believe that in March, but it's the one that got us together as a company. We're still deeply passionate about it, and listen, we're always grateful when people respond to the work. So thank you, and thank your family.
Yeah, man. Angel Studios has been just putting out some amazing stuff. My kids and I were just sitting watching the Wing Feather Saga the other day, and it's just they put out so much, great, not only for like adults and stuff, but for kids as well. But Homestead was a film that we did some coverage on recently. That was a movie, and now it's going to be some TV series episodes on Angel. But they're doing a lot of great things over there, man. I'm really excited about just the last couple of years being able to work with them on a lot of the films they have coming out.
Yeah, they're good guys. They're thinking outside the box and doing it a new way, which is very exciting.
Very exciting. We have another series with them too called Testament, which is the Book of Acts retold in a very ambitious way that you guys will be seeing shortly. I'm sure we'll get on here and talk to you about that. It's going to be a great series.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Corby was telling me about that. I'm like, man, okay, let's send it over here. I very much enjoy watching these biblical films, man. So I can't wait to see that. And going back to Valiant One, while we do try to warn folks and stuff ahead of time that the film is not really for younger audiences. Great film, but has very realistic, violence, profanity, and stuff. But do want to touch on the faith-based element of the film that it offers audiences. Can you tell us more about that and why that was important to include in this film?
Yeah, I wanted to have a faith element somewhere in the story. I mean, that is a common thread for our company. There's no question. It's important to us. So, the theme of sacrifice is a big one, both in our faith as well as in this film. In the center of the movie, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to spoil a little bit. There's a character who is stuck, who decides to stay back to buy some time for the soldiers who are able to leave. And he has his moment as he's about to face death. He prays, and he prays in his own way. And we sort of intercut between his name is Liebold, between Liebold waiting for the North Koreans to find him, and our soldiers getting away to and being confronted by North Korean soldiers as well. So that and I think Brockman's journey as a whole, learning to find the hero and the leader inside of him and lead, and then ultimately find himself in a similar situation where sacrifice is in order. So yeah, I mean that is a big thing for us, and I hope everybody connects with it in the film.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one, man. It was a great film, and I always want to get behind films that just have a great, not like great action film, but just a great story to go along with it. When people go to theaters and see this film this weekend, obviously as filmmakers, you guys, have a goal in mind of what you want these audiences to take away from the film. So when people go see Valiant One in the theaters, what's the biggest thing that you guys want them to take away from it when they walk out of the theater?
Well,
For me,
yeah,
it's
you
the
go,
it's the
Alan.
yeah. Sorry, Steve. I'll let you bring it home. I it's the same thing that I felt from the very first time Steve told me the story before I read the script. The first time that I was able to read the draft, and even what stays with me when I watch it now, the countless amount of edits and versions of the film we've seen now, and that's this. We have a story about a reluctant hero, a guy who doesn't want to be there, who's super selfish, and by the end of the film, is willing to, as Steve was talking about, essentially sacrifice himself, be self-sacrificial for other people. And so every time I'm inspired by that, absolutely, but every time I watch it, I end up asking myself this very real and very direct question: would I do that? Do I have what it takes? Am I empathetic enough? Am I thoughtful of other people? Am I courageous enough to make that sacrifice and be able to step up the way that Brockman does in the film? And it's a day by day kind of answer, quite frankly. But I'm honored to be able to use time and energy and efforts to bring a story to life that potentially will ask other people to ask themselves that question, because it's been encouraging to me for the past 4 or 5 years as we've been developing this story, that every time I interact with it, I feel challenged in a positive way. And so I hope that people are challenged when they watch it in the same way.
Yeah, and I would just add to that the idea that we all have a hero inside of us, a leader inside of us, whether we want to believe that or not, we do. And I think that's certainly Brockman's journey. His journey is to go from somebody who is selfish to completely selfless. And I think that journey and that story for people to see and recognize in themselves is super important. And then on top of that, this is really important too. I want people to walk away from this film with a positive perspective on soldiers, on the men and women in uniform who are, regardless of what their job is, sacrificing a lot to do that on our behalf. So that was a big motivation for me from the very moment Todd told me the story. Todd Sharbut, the Navy SEAL that I mentioned early, my high school friend. From the moment he told me that story to literally this moment right now, that is a big deal for me. I hope people walk out of here going, "Yeah, soldiers are the best of us. And we should treat them that way."
Amen. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I greatly appreciate you coming by to talk about this new film. Valiant One is in theaters this weekend. And guys, I'm really hoping that, this film does well in the theaters and people go out this weekend and check it out, because it really is a great movie. We enjoyed it, and we hope people get out to check it out. Thank you so much for joining us today, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.